In the news in the world of sports today, 2 coaching resignations. Fred Fritz Fell has resigned as head basketball coach at Mary College in Bismarck. He cited family obligations as the reason. He coached Fargo Shanley High School for several years before accepting the Mary College job in 1970. His resignation is effective July 1st. Marlo Red Severson, the head basketball coach at Mankato State College, resigned today as well, apparently frustrated. He leveled 3 criticisms at the athletic department of the school, saying that its scholarship program is incommensurate with the top 3 North Central Conference schools. He also said there's inadequate budgeting for athletics and an inadequate coaching staff for basketball. His assistant, Vern Schoolmeister, was recently told he would not be rehired at the end of the school year because they were cutting back on their budget. Severson also said the administration of the school should reevaluate its position in regard to the membership in the North Central Conference. He said that if they cannot afford to belong to the North Central Conference, that they should not belong to it. Arrangements are pretty well complete for the dedication of the Winter Sports Arena at UND. We'll talk more about that after a little bit. Today was baseball's annual free agent draft, with the Philadelphia Phillies picking first. They drafted infielder Alan Bannister, formerly of Arizona State, and signed him immediately to what was termed a substantial bonus. The Minnesota Twins picked a West Virginian named Joseph Hans. He played at West Virginia. He's an outfielder. More after this from Melanie. Well, as we said, arrangements are complete for the dedication of the new $2 million 5,700-seat Winter Sports Building at UND this weekend. There's a look at the outside of the building. There's the interior. Actual dedication ceremonies will be held at 7:30 on Saturday night prior to the North Dakota-Minnesota hockey game, but there will be activities scheduled for the whole weekend. John Noah of Fargo, a former UND player, is one of the people who helped arrange the weekend, and we asked him about what activities are planned. John, what are some of the things that are planned for the dedication weekend?
Well, for the dedication weekend, it'll start off with the hockey game on Friday night, January 12th, between the University of Minnesota and University of North Dakota. And then the following morning, we're having a breakfast for lettermen and their wives at the Golden Hour at 9 o'clock. And then the dedication banquet will be held at 1 in the afternoon at the Student Center, and this is opened up to the public. The committee thought that this would be a good opportunity of some of the local people and some of the people in the surrounding area would like to visit with former hockey players that played at the University of North Dakota. So that'll be at 1. And a lot of reminiscing. We've invited, well, Bob Buston from your station is the Master of Ceremonies, and Jack French, who used to be the voice of hockey when it first started here big time years ago, he will be there. And Bill Rendell and Jim Adelson has been invited, and Pat Talley and some of the other news media in the area, and they'll reminisce a little, we hope. And we've invited Mrs. Jameson, the coach, John Jameson's wife. He's deceased, but he coached back in about 46, 45, 46. And then we've invited Fido and Al Purpur and his wife, and a lot of other people in the area, and we hope to have a real fun banquet.
And some of the other things, you've got a smoker that night too, don't you?
Yes, then we'll have the dedication of the rink preceding the game at 7:30. The Hockey Rules Committee don't want to interrupt the game too much, so this will be on at 7:30, and we hope that the fans are there early enough and seated by 7:30, and we'll have the official dedication at that time. We've got a flag. Judge Davies through Quentin Burdick secured a flag that's flown over the Capitol, and this will be flying that night at the new rink, and the players will be there as guests at the university, and then there will be a smoker for the players, their wives, friends, and anyone who's interested out to Western Ho after the game.
Many or all former hockey lettermen have been invited. Many have accepted, including many from the original, what they call the big-time team of 1947.
Civil War is Sioux Battle, Minnesota, Friday and Saturday. And on Saturday, Rube's boys dedicate their new building before the old grads, a sellout crowd, plus a statewide TV audience. Is he pleased with his club so far, we asked.
Yes, we seem to be making good progress. We've Haven't had much luck on Friday nights, but our team has always been able to come back and play a great game Saturday night. I'm pleased with the progress we've been making. We're trying to get ourselves back in the tempo that we had prior to exams, and we played very well Saturday night in Michigan Tech, and now we're just wanting to carry this over to Minnesota this coming weekend.
And that's always the emotion of the whole thing and the dedication of the new building. There's going to be a lot of stuff there, right?
Well, I think it's very important that we do play well. Minnesota is a very close rival, plus the fact that we're going to have an awful lot of old ex-UND greats back here, and I think it's important that our team perform well in front of these people.
And of course, it's a Saturday night game, too. There's a doubleheader, and how many points involved in this whole thing?
Well, it's a 4-point series, 2 points per game, because we do play Minnesota 4 times during the year.
Okay, is Minnesota big? Do they skate well? Just a kind of brief scouting report.
Well, I haven't seen them play myself personally this year, although I am very familiar with the players that they have. Every report that I get from the coaches and teams that have played them or have seen them play are very impressed with the potential that they have. Herbie Brooks has a young squad. He's recruited some very big freshmen. So I would guess that they're going to try to play a solid checking game against us, and this seems to be what they've been doing against the other opponents.
You know that both games are sellout, hockey games that is, and we will televise the Saturday night game starting with the dedication ceremony at 7:30, and our color commentator is John Noah. John Noah was the University of North Dakota's first All-American, and it was 25 years ago this week when Noah put the Sioux in the big time in hockey. His goal in the last 41 seconds on January 10th, 25 years ago, gave the Sioux a 6-5 victory over Michigan, and everybody said, hey, North Dakota is big time in hockey. Oh, I can't wait to get John on the tube and let him go along with that. Now, if he just leaves that old All-American jacket that has holes all over off when he comes to this big party, he'll be first class. Tennis, Tom Day. Our building. We'll be back in a minute. Okay, quickly to our scoreboard. There are some key basketball games played tonight. Waupun and Science really shillelagh'd Valley City State tonight. Wow. Minot, meantime, very strong in the North Dakota College Conference, whipped Jamestown. Augsburg, despite 22 points by Concordia's David Wrighton, beat the Cobbers by 2 in a thriller. Now some high school wrestling scores. Fosston and Lake Parker winners. Also Fergus Falls over Detroit Lakes. Hatton beat Mayville Portland. College wrestling, Bill Garland's Morehead State Dragons tied Minnesota Morris. World Hockey Association, the Saints are losing to Cleveland, and the North Stars tied Boston tonight in a thriller. And in high school swimming, Fargo South won, and so did Fergus Falls. And finally, I guess that's all we have on the board. We'll be back to report some other things on the computer right after this.
It's the January clearance sale now at the Strauss Company, where you'll find the greatest.
Well, the last big prediction by the computer, and it's for the big one, the Super Bowl. Let's take a look. We'll give you a little statistical information tonight, and this is for the real purist football fan. So the Super Bowl, we'll start off first comparing the two teams in passes percentage completed. As you see there, Washington 57 and Miami 56. And that's offense. Defense, 50-50. So they're pretty even in that department. Now, this yards gained passing. You see there, Washington 155 offensively, and they have the edge over Miami. The defense, though, it's pretty even with Miami getting the edge. That's yards allowed. Now we'll move into another statistical point, and here it is, total points. Offense has scored 24 for Washington, 27 for Miami. The defense has allowed that many. It's a little hard to see, but I think you can get most of the information there. As I say, this is strictly for the purists. Passes intercepted. And you see Washington had 15, Miami had 13. And the defense of Washington intercepted 18. Look at Miami's defense, intercepted 33. So Miami has the edge there. Okay, now yards gained. Offensively, Washington gained 302, but Miami with Zonka, Kick, and Morris, 351. Defense, as you see, Miami allowed less yards than Washington, So everything's starting to tip this way if you look at all the facts and figures as we throw them into the computer. Now, here it comes. Miami. A 3-point choice to beat Washington in the Super Bowl. I don't believe it. I go for Washington. And we'll see what happens. It's a big weekend for everybody in sports, particularly the North Dakota hockey team, who battles Minnesota in a crucial 2-game series. We asked Sioux coach Ralph Bjorkman if he was pleased with his team performance so far.
Yes, we seem to be making good progress. We haven't had much luck on Friday nights, but our team has always been able to come back and play a great game Saturday night. I'm pleased with the progress we've been making. We're trying to get ourselves back in the tempo that we had prior to exams, and we played very well Saturday night in Michigan Tech, and now we're just wanting to carry this over to Minnesota this coming weekend.
And that's always the emotion of the whole thing and the dedication of the new building. There's going to be a lot of stuff there, right?
Well, I think it's very important that we do play well. Minnesota is a very close rival, plus the fact that we're going to have an awful lot of old ex-UND greats back here, and I think it's important that our team perform well in front of these people.
And of course, it's a Saturday night game, too. There's a doubleheader, and how many points involved in this whole thing?
Well, it's a 4-point series, 2 points per game, because we do play Minnesota 4 times during the year.
Okay, is Minnesota big? Do they skate well? Just a kind of brief scouting report.
Well, I haven't seen them play myself personally this year, although I am very familiar with the players that they have. Every report that I get from the coaches and teams that have played them or have seen them play are very impressed with the potential that they have. Herbie Brooks has a young squad. He's recruited some very big freshmen. So I would guess that they're going to try to play a solid checking game against us, and this seems to be what they've been doing against the other opponents.
Ralph Bjorkman, Sioux hockey coach. Both games are a sellout, and we will televise on Channel 4 exclusively on a statewide network the dedication game starting at 7:30 Saturday night. Hope you'll be along to watch, unless you got a ticket. And we'll be back in a minute.
Patrick?
Well, of course, this is the big weekend for the Super Bowl game. We'll talk more about that. We've been receiving nothing but poems, but we won't read one tonight, I'm afraid. We won't have time. Also, it's a big dedication weekend going on up in Grand Forks for the new Winter Sports Arena, and we'll have a bit of nostalgia concerning hockey in the Grand Forks area and UND on the sports later on.
On the road to sports, a heavy cloud hangs over Pat Tully.
Yes, because we predicted Washington, I'm assuming that's what you're talking about.
We certainly are. We're all in agreement that Washington will take them,
So,
and
you know, I can't figure it out. I got a lot of mail from Miami fans because I picked Washington, but I didn't get hardly any mail from anyone that was saying, you know, hey, way to go, pick Washington. There's no Redskins fans around.
Oh.
President Nixon says it's a toss-up, by the way.
Is that what he said?
That's what he says. We'll talk more about it, but, you know, there's another big weekend as far as this area is concerned up in Grand Forks. It's dedication weekend for the new Winter Sports Arena in Grand Forks, and during the dedication for the University of North Dakota $2 million Winter Sports Arena, there will be plenty of dignitaries on hand. Too many, in fact, to mention them all, but each one has played his part in bringing stardom and greatness to the University of North Dakota through the wonderful sport of hockey. But as fans of today watch the Fighting Sioux in their all-new facility, there are still many of us, I think, who can't quite yet forget the old friend, the now retired Winter Sports Arena. The last game played in the tired old Winter Sports Building was fittingly against University of Michigan, the school which some 25 years ago helped put UND on the hockey map. It was the 1947-48 Sioux hockey team that did the job by downing Michigan and sending North Dakota on its way to becoming a hockey dynasty. Last season I visited the old building as it was closed for the final time by my old and dear friend Ralph Purpur. I'd like to rerun this report for Al and for those greats that have worn the green and white over the years, playing their role in building hockey in North Dakota and leading the way to the all-new arena of today. So for those of you who remember, let's say goodbye once more to an old and dear friend, the Winter Sports Building.
Fighting Sioux closed out their final action in the Winter Sports Building with a sweep of a 2-game series with the University of Michigan. As the final buzzer sounded and the competition for the last time, memories of stars like John Noah, Ben Chersky, Spike Schultz, Billy Reichert, Bill Steenson, Reg Morelli, Don Ross, Terry Casey, and John Marks will remain with hockey fans forever. The coaching ranks in both such great names as current coach Rube Bjorkman, Barry Thorndicraft, Bob May, and Cliff Fido Purpur. The names and the stars that have worn the green and white of the Fighting Sioux is endless, but the fans will never forget their contribution to hockey. Al Purpur has made ice and handled all the needs of the Sioux since the building was completed. His brother Cliff coached from 1949 till 1956. Kid brother Kenny was a standout with the green and white, and it was only fitting that Al's nephew and Cliff's son Gary scored the final goal in the Winter Sports Building in the final game against Michigan.
The colors will remain the same. The University of North Dakota Fighting Sioux hockey team moves into their new arena on the campus, University of North Dakota. But the path, the Winter Sports Building on the campus, that no longer will be operating with the Fighting Sioux playing hockey. That story could be told and told and told. It would take days, it would take many, many days to tell the history of this building. But to get a little information on some of the things that have happened in the Winter Sports Building, I talked with Sports Information Director at the University of North Dakota, Lee Burnett. There's just so many stories you can tell of the Winter Sports Building since it was first built. But what are some of the facts?
Well, in fact, we began playing hockey here shortly after World War II. But the building was put up in 1946 basically as an indoor football and track area. But the hockey came afterwards, first with natural ice, and then we put in artificial ice in 1953. And of course we began playing major college hockey in 1947. So, as you said, there's many stories, and we've all had our great moments in this building. And it's going to be tough to lose.
The Winter Sports Building is empty now, but as you look over the vast emptiness, you can almost see some of the greats that played in the arena. Red Berenson, University of Michigan, now with the Detroit Red Wings. Lou Gotti, Michigan Tech, Chicago Blackhawks. Keith Magnuson, Denver University, the Chicago Blackhawks. Lou Nanny, University of Minnesota, the Minnesota North Stars. Tony Esposito, Michigan Tech, Chicago Blackhawks. Dennis Hextall, University of North Dakota, the Minnesota North Stars. Yes, the names and stars that brought hockey bedlam to the fans of the Fighting Sioux will never be forgotten. But as Al Purpur locked the door on the Winter Sports Building for the final time, a sort of emptiness gripped the stomach and a lump formed in the throat as hockey fans say thank you and goodbye to what has been a good friend. This is Pat Tepp.
For those of you that played in the old arena, I thought you might enjoy seeing it for one last time.
Tonight brought to you by Mark's Newberry. Speaking of Shula, he is really hot at Carol Rosenblum, now the owner of the Los Angeles Rams. Rosenblum was quoted in the Miami Herald as saying, Shula always freezes up in the big ones. As you know, Rosenblum used to own the Baltimore Colts. Shula used to coach and work for Baltimore and Rosenblum. And his comment was, this is Rosenblum, I've seen Shula freeze up in the big ones. And Shula said tonight, anything that guy says wouldn't surprise me. He's done nothing for 3 years but downgrade me, not only as a coach, but as a human being as well. He's even made remarks involving my family. Okay. Sports Illustrated says that the Washington Redskins could win by as much as 10 to 21 points. I don't know what they've been looking at or something, but I can't believe that. We'll be back in a minute. A couple of wrestling scores. Dakota beat Mayville-Portland 45-12. Mayville-Portland may have good football and basketball, but their wrestling's not so good. And Minot State beat Mayville State in college wrestling 26-11. Well, tonight, later on, Norm Robinson will be in here doing the show because I'm going to be at the University of North Dakota Fieldhouse watching that University of North Dakota hockey game tonight, getting ready for our big game tomorrow night. Both games are a sellout. We're going to televise tomorrow night's game starting at 7:30. They're going to dedicate the new Winter Sports Building. In the afternoon tomorrow at 1:30, as a part of our doubleheader, our color sports spectacular on Saturday, we will have the School of Deaf with the fabulous Steve Blem going against Cheyenne. So we hope that if you can't get to the basketball game, you'll watch it right here on Channel 4. I know you can't get to the hockey game because it's a sellout. J.C. Sneed.
To about a 33, and it's going to hold at least on through into Wednesday. Is that January thaw?
January thaw, okay. You got something else you want to add?
About a month ago, I said...
A chance?
Yes. About a month ago... Oh, you guys are sure. About a month ago, I said that Joe Schmidt would be through as the coach of the Detroit Lions, and maybe Duffy Doherty or Bob Devaney would take his spot. Now watch, see what happens. I don't think Doherty will do it, but Devaney's an old Michigan guy. You know, he used to work and
just put the onus on both their chances right now.
Yeah, but Devaney is he retired now. See, he's just the athletic director of Nebraska. Challenge, my boy, the challenge and the money.
Okay, the third game is coming up next. Mission Impossible is after that, and then the movie tonight is Petulia with George C. Scott and Julie Christie. After that, we're going to be here with the late news, about 10:04, I guess it is tonight, a little later. Okay, we'll see you then. Good night.
Needless to say, he's in Grand Forks right now watching this game, University of North Dakota versus Minnesota, the first of 2 games. And in the third period, with about 10 minutes to go, Jim reported it was 6-2, UND ahead. One of the longest winning streaks going in college wrestling is